Hi there, it's Karen here. Welcome back. And today we're doing 50 Stack Challenge number 7, hosted by lovely Amy at Crafty Cat. And every week she draws out a couple of prompts for us to make some ephemera with. So we're on week 21 and 22, or prompts 21 and 22, should I say. And prompt 21 is envelope. So my fairly immediate thought was a piece of ephemera I haven't made for a while, but I have made it before on camera, but probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago maybe. So I haven't made them for a long while, and it's quite a lengthy process. So what I would normally do, I'll show you what it is. I'll show you this is my original prototype. I've made several since then. They've come out probably better, but this was the first one I ever made, so I've kept it as a kind of prototype. And so you've got 3 envelopes. You flip that up, you flip it down. I know I originally saw this being made on Gail Agostinelli's channel using napkins to decorate, and then you have them linked like that. You can put it on your page, flip it all up, pop it in, and you can either put it in a pocket. I think when I've done it before, I have actually glued it onto the page and then flipped it down, and then you've got envelopes to stuff. So it's a nice thing. And I would normally start with 3 envelopes like this, 3 identical envelopes. I prefer the ones with the big flap, just because you've got a nice deep pocket and you can see your journal card in there. But I have also got a lot of smaller envelopes that have just got a very narrow piece at the top and a little flap, and they'd work perfectly well as well. But the problem with using something like this is that it would be a whole video just making and decorating one of these things. In fact, I don't even know if I'd manage it in one video. And of course, when we're doing the 50 Stack Challenge, we actually want to make 2 pieces in one video. So I thought, well, how could I do this and speed things up and make it a little bit quicker? So what I thought I would do, which I haven't done before, is use some of the ready-made envelopes that you just cut and stick from the Nostalgic Noel kit. And because my journal is a bit smaller than a normal journal, I've pulled out these 2 envelopes from the kit. So I have already made them up. I printed them back with I double-sided printed them is what I'm trying to say. So I printed this on the back. I managed to print it upside down, as you might, I don't know if you can tell, but it's such a tiny print, you may not even be able to see that. But the little baubles are upside down, but we're not going to worry about that. And so I've got them both the same because they were both on the same page. So they're relatively small. She does do a bigger one. It's around somewhere, but she does do a bigger envelope. I decided to keep it small because I thought it would fit into the journal. If I use them on this journal, I'm not even sure whether the journal I'm working on, whether I've actually got space for these, but they might go on my next journal. But I needed 3. So what I decided to do, and this size only came on 1 page, there was only 2 of them. So what I did was I took another piece of paper. So these are both from the Nostalgic Noel. I then took a piece of paper from the new kit, the Crafters Christmas, and drew around one of them to get the shape. And then I took another piece and glued it on, and it's the same pattern, but it was a separate piece of paper. I actually glued it on and cut it round. So basically they're all the same on the inside, but I managed to put this one the right way up. But I had to be careful to put it on the right way, because if you look at this, it's slightly directional in that it's got little Christmas trees. And looking at it this way, it looks upside down. Actually, when you fold it up, none of the Christmas trees are actually, if you folded it that way, it could be either way. It doesn't look upside down. But I wanted it so that when you then folded this flap up, the Christmas tree and this flap down are all the right way round. So actually this is the only bit that has a Christmas tree on it, ironically. So it's not super directional, but I just thought that would make sense to do it that way. And I thought that way I've mixed the 2 kits together. They could then go, it could go in either journal when I've made it. This is not so different in style to the other kit. The kits go, I think they go very well together, those 2 kits. So we now have our 3 envelopes. These 2 I have already glued together. This one just needs finishing off, and I just wanted to show it to you how it looks before it's been glued. But I'm now going to glue it. I think I've already inked it all. So I'm just going to glue this together, and then we'll construct this little envelope flip out, I think you'd call it. Not that glue, what am I doing? And I think this will just hopefully mean that we can get this little project done much more quickly, because what usually takes all the time when doing it like this is the decorating. And I'm not going to have time to do a lot of decorating. I'm going to do some. But I want to get this prompt and then the next prompt all done in the space of one video. So let's just glue this pocket down. Of course, just come in here and it's not quite ready to work with me. So I spent all day yesterday in here doing my preparations. It was such a dark, dreary, wet day yesterday. There was no way I could turn the camera on. I had my lights on all day. And it's not a huge amount better today, but there's a lot more natural light coming in. So I don't need to put my lights on. And I always prefer to film without my lights on, just because I think it just makes the video look better. Unless not so many shadows or going around. And so, but if I have to put them on, I will. But I thought, well, yesterday gave me a chance to get some work done, getting these, because I had to get this finished and get this all made, and think about what I wanted to do for my other prompt as well, which I was so busy trying to plan this one, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do for the other one. But I do now. I do know what I'm doing now, which is always a plus. So I think I need a little bit of, dry white just to make sure this is all glued. So because these are not manufactured envelopes that are pretty much the same size, they are cut out by me and therefore not very accurate. And of course this one isn't even from the kit. This one is one I just drew around separately. The sizes may not be perfect. It may not be perfectly aligned, and I'm just going to have to work with that. So I'm trying to think what order I wanted to put them in. So I'm going to put, I can't remember what order I was going to put them. I'm not sure it matters too much. I think I wanted to put this one in the middle. So let's just see. So the idea is you line them up and you glue them to each other, and then they fold up. So that one will fold up. So what will happen is that they're folding up upside down. I had thought I would keep this really pretty picture that's on this one, because this was the only one that had an actual picture on it, but I don't think whichever way I do it, I'm going to lose that. Unless I put that, I'll see if it works better if I put that one at the top. I'm still not sure it does, because I think what will happen is the flap will cover it. That's the issue. So I don't think it matters either way, because it's going to get covered up, which doesn't matter because I have got something to cover that. But as you can see, this is actually slightly wider than this one, because I managed to make it a bit smaller than I should have, because I think I kept cutting it in because my folding wasn't very good. So even these two I don't think are identical, because it's all a case of how well you cut it and then how well you fold it. And for me, both of those things can be a little challenging, but I'm not going to worry as long as it's kind of centred. So that will then fold up to there, and that will fold up to there. And then we'll have to wrap that around and glue that down. And I don't like those two together, although I am going to be covering that up, so it might not be a problem. I'm just wondering whether to have this one. Well, that's upside down. At least that one doesn't look upside down, does it? I'm just trying to decide which flap I want. So not that one. Okay, we'll do it the way I had it. We'll do it the way I had it, I think. I might actually cut off some of that, some of the last flap. Alright, so I'm going to turning that up, turning that down. Yeah, this one I may have to cut off a little bit, just to make sure that it doesn't peep out. I mean, it's pretty, but it is upside down, because you can see from the tree it's upside down, so it doesn't matter if I cut it down a little bit. Right, let's glue these on. Stop faffing, Karen. Get on with it. So I'm going to, well, this was the one I think needs cutting anyway. So I'm going to cut a little piece of that off, just to make sure it tucks under the other one, because they're all going to get covered. Right. And then we're going to just glue this onto the one I made. I'll pop that in the middle, then I'm sort of balancing it out by putting one of the Nostalgic Noel envelopes either side of the one that's decorated or that's covered with the Crafters Christmas paper. But I think because they're going to be decorated, you won't really be able to tell which kit is which, because they're just going to be mixed in. So that's going on there, and then I should be covering this page, so it should be fine. Right, and then this one will go on here. Yeah, I might actually cut a piece of this off as well. Just to cut down on the bulk, really. Not that it makes a big difference. And this one's quite a lot stiffer because I've glued two pieces of paper together rather than just printing one side on both, one piece on both sides like I have with the other two. This one is actually glued two pieces of paper together, so it just makes it that bit thicker and a bit stiffer to fold. Right, I'm going to have to try and make sure this is pretty central and not too near the edge. Is that going to fold up? Yep, I think so. You can just about see her, but she's going to be upside down, or she needs to be covered anyway, so it's fine. So now we have our three envelopes, but hopefully we'll now fold up, kind of straightish, not perfect. So have to give it a little bit extra room to fold around. Right, so now what we want to do is we need to decorate them. So this one, because you can see it's upside down, and I forgot that it would be upside down when I was planning my decorating, so I do need to cover need to cover this piece, really, I think. So what I thought I'd use on here, yes. I don't think I need to worry about this because this is kind of non-directional, this piece, but I've got these little guys, and I think they look really sweet there, and I might perhaps I'll add a little word or something there, which I hadn't necessarily planned for, because I forgot this would be upside down, so these were going to be on, I had thought it would be on here, and this would look nice next to it, but it's not going to work like that because it's going to be upside down. So kind of understood about some of it being upside down, but didn't quite figure it out that it would be every envelope. And it may be that I've changed the order. Didn't think this would be upside down anyway, but it's fine. There's a bit of washi tape here because I did, when I was kind of folding it and snipping it and things, I did make I nicked it on the edge of one of these pieces. So I could maybe put a little piece there, a little Christmas stocking. think these are lovely, these little guys. I may have to just cut a little bit off at the bottom. And I'm going to just put that little Christmas stocking. I've got a nice candle, which I like the idea of because it had a candle on it. But the ears are too big. I don't know if I've got a smaller one with a candle on, or I've got a bow. No, I like the stocking, so that's going there. Not a word after all, but a Christmas stocking. So let's just ink a little bit and glue them on. Right, I'm just going to have to cut a bit of their feet off, unfortunately, to make them fit. Is that going to work? There. Yes, I didn't want to lose his hat. Okay. Right, so that's that one. And I don't know if I want to put anything on here. I'm not sure it's needed really because it's all going to be folded up most of the time. So then I'm going to fold that one up and I've got a piece to go on there. I'm just going to put my punch to hold that flat so you can see this this piece. And on this one I'm going to put this piece. I've got this is from, I think this might be from the other kit, from the Crafters Christmas. Just going to glue that on there. I don't know whether I'll put something across here. I hadn't really planned on that, so maybe not. That might be something I'll have to do later if that annoys me too much across there. I might add something to cover it up. Right, so that is going to go there. And then I just thought I'd add Mr. Santa. It's his compliments of the season, and I think he's lovely. And I'm not even going to ink him because I think he doesn't need it. We put him on there just as a little extra bit of embellishment. So I like him there. This is rather nice, though I don't really think it needs anything. And then that will come round here and you'll be able to still see him. Ah, I've just realised what I've done. So I was going to cover this up anyway, so I think I need to take him off because that's just going to, because I have got a closure in mind that's going to just go over him, so I'm not going to use him after all. I want to use him somewhere else. So Forget about poor old Santa. I think he's not going to go on there because my closure is going to just cover him up. So that's going to go there. And yes. I was just trying to remember what I was going to do. I was going to put this on as my closure. So having Santa here would make no sense whatsoever, would it? And that will just tuck under there. Like that. So make sure it's up high enough to kind of... Probably didn't even need the compliments of the season, it would have worked perfectly well. I think it's just because I probably put this in a different order to the way I'd planned it. I think that's what I've done. And then on here we have now got this, but because this is wrapped around, I don't really like this now, so I'm going to cover that up. And I've got this piece. This is from the Crafters Christmas. It's one of the collage pieces. I'm going to glue that on here. Yes, I am. I may even be putting these pieces on different ones to what I initially thought, but never mind, as long as it works. So you could, it gives you the option of gluing it to a page and then covering all this up, or putting it in a pocket, which I might prefer to do, because then you can work on it away from the journal. If it's not too thick, it would go in a pocket. So that looks quite nice as it is. I might just leave it like that because I have got this piece which I had thought about putting on there, but I think it might not need it. So I may just leave it like that, like that. So now I need to just put my closure on. I'm going to put it high enough just to hold it in place. Flaps up. That's it. So I'm just going to glue, I think, the bottom half. Of my truck, my Christmas tree truck. Put it up a bit. Make sure there's plenty of room for this to tuck in. There we are. So there we have our envelope, flip out. Oh, I've got to put my journal cards in, haven't I? Haven't finished. Knew there was something else I needed to do. So we want to put a little something, a little journal card in each of these envelopes. And I found when I was looking in my Project Life box, which I have still got loads of Project Life cards, I found this little set by My Mind's Eye. 24 double-sided journal cards, a whole bunch of them, which I'd even forgotten I had, and they're all Christmas. Because it's from the Jingle All the Way collection. I must have had it years. So I pulled out some of those. So I've got this one, because on the back it is red. You could write on this with a white pen, or you can put a little photograph on here, or you could stick something on there to write on if you wanted to stick a piece of paper on. So there's options with that one. And I'm just going to add this piece to it to make it just that bit more Christmassy, and finish it off and bring in the kit as well. This is all from Nostalgic Noel, so I'm going to put that one on there. And bring it down a little bit. Should have used my glue stick, then I could have slid it a little bit. So I may just have to snip off just a tiny bit at the top of the tree. And I have rounded the corners. They don't come with rounded corners. Just thought I'd round them just to finish them off. And I think, have I inked them? I may or may not have inked it. And take a tick to get rid of that white edge. So that one I think is going in there. Then, which one is which? This one is going in here, this one's going in here. So this one has actually got a white writing space on the back with the border. I have to trim it right down. They are a bit bigger than my envelopes, so I've had to trim them down. I had to be a bit careful to make sure I trimmed it equally top and bottom, because you can see how wide it would have been originally, because all of this was the same. So now I'm just going to put one of my Roxy Creations labels on there, because I think that looks just nice on that one. That's going on there. A little bit of the book page has come with it. So that's going to go on that one. And then I've got some different Roxy Creations labels. So I've got 2 different sets. And I'm going to use one of these on this card, which has also got a writing space on the back. When I'm doing my Christmas journals, I do tend to print some of my photographs quite small, so I can get more in, really, more in the pockets. So I've missed a bit there. Totally dry, that bit. So you could get photographs on some of these, or just on one or two and write on the other one, or many options. So actually still hasn't quite glued. Bring in the big guns, make sure it glues down. And then we can just pop these in. And that's what I meant about having a nice deep pocket in your envelope, because that way you can see your journal card. That's quite nice, just to see the bit of journal card. And I did manage on this one, and it's also an option, to actually put a little, because these were so deep, I put a little tab on the tops of these. And I think I used like index cards on this one. So yes, Gail Agostinelli was the person I saw doing this first. I don't know if she was the originator of this idea, but I do like it. I think when I first saw it, and it must have been 4 years ago when I first saw it, I think she had actually she'd either seen it somewhere else, or somebody had sent her something where they'd made this. I think that might have been the case. So she recreated it, and I thought it was a really fun idea. Right, so that's our envelope, triple envelope flip down, whatever you want to call it. And tuck that in there, like that. And there it is. I think you could get that into a little pocket. It is a little thick, but dead cute. I do like that. And I have made these a couple of times, I think, on camera. I know I did one for one of my Christmas journals, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. The time goes by so quick. I feel like I've been making videos for 5 years. So at some point during that 5 years, I've made this on camera before, but probably a while ago. Right, so that's prompt number 21, envelope. Prompt number 22 is ticket. So there's all sorts of ways you could interpret ticket. And so I happen to think about what I need for my journal that I'm working on, my Christmas journal, and I think, well, I need journal cards. So why not make a journal card in the shape of a ticket? So I found this piece of scrapbook paper. I came across a folder with some pieces of paper that I hadn't, I'd forgotten I had. And it was like a folder of winter themed pieces of scrapbook paper and embellishments and things when I was scrapbooking, and I hadn't really looked at it for years and years, and I thought, well, actually it's kind of Christmassy as well, or it can be Christmassy, certainly this piece I thought. So I cut it into the size I need. This is to go into my envelope flip out, and we'll put it in there when I've done it. Hope I've got the size right, but there's a couple of other places it could go if not. So I thought what I'll do is I take this piece, cut it to size of course, and make this into the ticket shape, and then we'll embellish it as though it's a big giant ticket. That's my plan. I hope it works. So I've got a couple of punches that I'm going to use to do the ticket shapes. So for the corners I'm going to use this, which is maybe doesn't say what size it is on here. I don't think it matters too much as long as it's a good size for the size of the card. So I would say it's less than an inch, or maybe it's about an inch. Yeah, maybe it is about an inch. Yeah, roughly. So I'm just going to do my corners and hope I get them more or less the same. I'm going to do a little kind of take the corner into the middle of the punch, and hopefully that'll keep it similar. Go into the middle, try and get it even. Let's get it right. And this one. And one. I may be taking it a little further than the middle actually. But I think they're all turning out more or less the same. So we've got to start our ticket corners, and then to get the ticket shape, I tried it out on a piece of scrap paper, so I hope it's still going to work. I've got my smallest punch, which is probably, I should think, about ½ an inch. Let's just have a quick measure. These are the only ones I have, so this is what I'm going to use. It might be, this is the centimetre size of my ruler, so it's about 1½ centimetres, so in inches, it's probably, it's about half an inch. It's about ½ an inch, something like that. They're a bit, can't always tell particularly how big they are. So I'm just going to punch along the top and the bottom for this, for the mock perforations. Okay, that's come out okay. The thing is, because it's a patterned paper, it won't be quite so noticeable if they're not perfect. Let's do the other side. Right. Collect up all my flying debris. Right, so I think I'd like to just ink around this with a bit of aged mahogany. which one? I think this is my top. I think I've done these indentations a little deeper than the other ones, but I don't think it matters too much. So the next thing I was thinking, I would like to make it look a bit more tickety. It's not going to be super tickety because I don't know what else to put on here to make it look like a ticket. But I thought I would stamp along the side admit one, because a lot of the tickets that you get, they do have that on them. I'm just a bit concerned that my stamps are a little large. I'm going to have to be careful how I do it. I'll show you the stamps I've got, because otherwise they're really, really small and they wouldn't show up. So I've got these stamps. I've had these for years. So they're quite big letters. So I'm hoping I can squeeze it on, because now that I think it would have been fine before I started taking the divot out the corners, but I think it's going to be a bit of a squeeze. I'm going to have to be very careful. So I had a bit of a prototype that I tried out. Let's see if that's going to fit now. See, it's going to be quite tight, so I need to bring it together a bit more. So I've got all my little, let's take this out of the way now. I've got my stamps here, all in the wrong order, of course. O, M. So I can just grab them and O, N, no, that's the E. Okay. So I'm just going to give it a go and hope I can get this squeezed on. Keep the letters quite close to each other. Because I do want it to be reasonably bold. And it's going to be going down the side, and it might be covered up a little bit by the decoration that I'm going to do. But let's give it a try. So I've got my very juicy versifying clay in, it's called Nocturne, so black basically. And so I'm just going to give this a go. Wish me luck getting these on as far across as I can. I'm going to just dab off onto my glue book. It's a bit close to the edge. Don't think we'll worry too much about that. The last one, this word. It's a case of getting the space between the two words right. Maybe I'll start with the E and work towards it, and then we'll get the space about right, won't we? And the next, the N. Now, just about managed it, I think. That as far over as I can, just to make sure it looks like two words. A bit close, but never mind. Nobody's going to be using it to get into anything, so I think we can get away with that. So I've got admit 1, because that kind of shows it's a ticket. I was thinking about whether to do some sort of border around. I've got my bits of embellishment and I'll just see how they look. So I've got a bit of music paper I wanted to put sort of there. And I'm going to put Santa on here, because why not have Santa? As it's a big card, I'm going to have Santa kind of there, well, like that. And I've got another couple of little parcels to put around him. Maybe one there. So he's from the Ginger Journals kit, Here Comes Santa Claus, because it's all fussy cuts of Santa. Another little parcel down there, I think. So what I was wondering, do I need to do... I don't think it does need a border. I have a stamp, a Tim Holtz stamp set that I was given for Christmas last year. I haven't used it, which is a bit sad, really. I'm going to have to try and find a way to use some of these pieces, because it's lovely, and I just forgot about it. Don't tell my daughter I forgot that I had it. And I really wanted it as well. But anyway, I think I'm just going to glue that on like that and call it good, because I really like it just like that. What I could do, just thinking again, whether to take a red pen, go around the border. I'm just a bit worried I would mess it up and make it, and actually I won't like it when I've done it. There's always the danger, isn't it, if you do something like that and you think, actually I should have left well alone. So I'm going to leave well alone, I think. I like it as it is. Just going to add a little bit of ink. Oh, do you want to just... Oh, it's going to be covered up anyway. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about tearing across that edge, because I think it's going to disappear behind Santa anyway. So I'm going... Oh no, I'm not going to glue on the ink, because I've been caught out by that before, where I've been stamping, and then I get the stamping on my piece. So there we go. So yeah, I think we're doing all right with this. It's not taking too long. Because when I had the idea of doing the envelope flip, I thought, oh, that's going to take me the whole video to do. And I hadn't even thought about what I was going to do for my ticket. I want that up a bit higher, don't I? So I did have to do a fair bit of prep on the envelope thing. And I still don't think it turned out the way I had it in my head. But never mind. It's fine as it is. It often happens, doesn't it? Well, it does if you're making videos and you want to do a little bit of pre-planning, just to keep things moving along on the video. You don't want to, the amount of time it took me just to do, just do these little bits of preparation, you would not believe. The video would have been 2.5 hours long if you'd have been with me on that little journey. So it is necessary sometimes to spend a bit of time thinking about what you want to do and getting it ready, just so that the video goes a bit more smoothly without so much thinking and faffing time, because there is a lot of faffing when I'm preparing these videos. And I get myself into such a mess. There's a bit I need to trim off there. Yeah, I had stuff everywhere yesterday. But I had a nice time. It was a bit strange crafting by myself. I do that. Of course, I come in here and do a bit of crafting by myself, but it does feel a bit strange if I'm not chatting to you guys, talking to you about what I'm doing, and haven't even had a chance to tell you what we've been doing this week. Not been doing anything exciting, because you know, there's nothing much going on at the moment, but we have had 2 lovely days or sessions with our grandchildren. We had a lovely time with Alyssa on Tuesday. I think I don't know if I've mentioned it in one of my videos since then. I have made a lot of videos lately. That is mainly what I've been doing this week and last weekend, is making quite a lot of videos so that I'm getting ahead. So the only ones that are kind of following, I'm doing as I go, are these ones, because Amy only released this prompt Monday just gone, and I'm now on Saturday, filming on Saturday, but I've only just had this prompt, so I wouldn't have been able to film these very far ahead. But most of the others, yeah, I've filmed a lot of Christmas videos, and all my autumn videos are done, except my flip through, which I shall film today. Anyway, here we are. This is my ticket. On the back here, because it's got this, it's got polka dots. I could have used this for my polka dot prompt, couldn't I? That would have made life easier. But never mind, I had fun doing the polka dots. So you can write on here, or you could put some photos on here, or both. It wouldn't be difficult to write on this piece. So I think that makes quite a nice journal card. And I could have made my corners a bit bigger, I guess, for ticket, but then I wouldn't have been able to get this on. So I think I'm happy with that. That's my ticket prompt, number 22, I think, yes. That's prompt number 22, ticket. Prompt number 21, envelope. So that's my 50 stack challenge for this week. I hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed it as always. And I will see you again very soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.